Welcome to Study with the Best, the magazine show that's all about CUNY. I'm Tina Beth Pena. On today's episode, Queens College alum Joy Behar, teaching science through hip-hop, baseball broadcasting, and so much more. First up, Queens College alum, comedian, and talk show host Joy Behar recently sat down with our very own Barry Mitchell to share memories about her undergraduate years at the Flushing campus.
I admire Kennedy because he got us out of that Cuban Missile Crisis, which I was in college when that happened, and I said to my friends, we're going to die. They had nuclear missiles headed toward Queens College, where I was, exactly where I was. It was 1962. The Russians, with Nikita Khrushchev's blessing, were pointing nuclear armaments towards Queens College, as far as I was concerned. And I thought, I don't want to die a virgin. Everybody was so scared. I remember that exact. And, you know, thank God President Kennedy made a deal with the Russians behind the scenes. They could learn from him. When I went there, it was the best school in the
CUNY?
CUNY, right. I wanted a campus. I thought they have trees in Queens College, there's grass. I was the president of Delta Zeta at that time, which was the national sorority. You had to join a sorority at Queens College because it's such a big school. So when you joined a fraternity or a sorority, you could sit with those people in the cafeteria, and that's how you found some connections there. It was difficult and very hard to do.
You were a sociology major?
I was.
Do you remember
English? I was a sociology major, English minor, but then I got my master's in English education because I was a teacher for a while.
Right, and you were an English teacher.
I was.
Tough kids.
Some of them were tough.
I used to teach English to the high school dropouts in the worst neighborhood in New York. Were you in my class? It's possible. You know the kind of kids who go to jail because they set fire to their parents? Then they would send them to me to teach them the difference between who and whom. That was the job.
Do you remember specifically any courses that influenced you or professors?
Yes. I did have one sociology professor. His name was Victor Joshua. He taught sociology, and he was just the most entertaining, the most brilliant person I've ever been in the classroom with. He totally turned a boring subject like sociology, which can be, believe me. Even my ex-husband's a sociology professor. So I know what I'm talking about. And he turned that topic into the most fascinating topic. In fact, I wrote an A paper for him about suicide on the college campus based on Emil Durkheim's theory of anomie. How do you like that?
Wow, that's a great memory.
Yep. You know, one of my memories there is that I used to sing songs with Paul Simon on the Clapper Library steps.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello. And Paul Simon, you know, it's so funny because he was with AE Pi fraternity, and every year they would do the Follies. And they were hilarious guys. They were very funny. And then they'd say at the end, and now a song from Paul Simon, one of our members, and we'd be like, oh, not him again. I couldn't believe it. And we would sing with him on the steps of the Clapper Library. And then a year later, he was like the major star.
See me and Julio down by the schoolyard.
I studied music with Dr. Macklis.
Who wrote the
genius, wrote the book on music.
Right.
He was the professor of music there.
I remember.
But he would play. But I was on diet pills also, so I wanted to lose weight. And they would send you into laughing and crying all over the place. These pills, which I do not recommend that. So one day he's playing La Boheme, and he's swooning. And we are laughing in the back hysterically, me and my girlfriends. My girlfriends and I, of course. I'm an English teacher.
She was on pills as well?
Well, the two of us had taken this pill, which we shouldn't have done. And we are laughing hysterically. And Dr. Macklis came back and stood over us and said, what is going on here? And I turned it around to crying. I said, oh, Dr. Macklis, the music is so touching. I pretended I was crying. I think that the things that I did at Queens College brought me to this point. I won a speech contest. I wrote a speech, Why Men Should Marry Older Women. And it was a funny speech. I was a stand-up comedian in that speech class. And here I am doing the same thing years later.
You just didn't know it yet.
I didn't know it, no.
I'm Italian, and I married a Jewish guy. You thought I was Jewish, right? Everyone thinks I'm Jewish. Why is that? A few months ago, I get a call, Happy Hanukkah. I said, Ma, I'm not Jewish, all right? No one believes me.
I would like to say something that's really important about Queens College, and that is, and not just Queens College, Hunter, City University, all around, I got a completely free education in those days. All I had to do was buy books. And I think it cost like $64 a term or something for registration fees.
So it meant a lot to you.
It meant a lot. It meant everything to me.
We're both alumni.
Right.
At Kingsborough Community College, student radio has a unique relationship with the Brooklyn community. Ari Goldberg has that story.
I'm Ari Goldberg for Study with the Best, and you're listening to
90.3 WKRB, Kingsborough Community College, Brooklyn, New York.
We're at WKRB, the college radio station for Kingsborough Community College. In 1978, the FCC granted us a license to broadcast at 10 watts, which covers about the southern half of Brooklyn. And then in 2006, we actually launched our web stream, which is getting us out pretty much anywhere in the world with an internet connection.
I was like, oh, I don't have a voice for radio. But then when I came to Kingsborough, I said, you know, I'm just going to get over my nervousness, get over my fear of it, and try it.
I saw you went to the hip hop one. Was it VH1 hip hop one?
I was actually there. I was at the VH1 hip hop one.
We try to have unique programming. It's always been the model of college radio to play the stuff that you wouldn't hear on commercial radio stations. So as of now, we're following an EDM format, or electronic dance music. It's not something you find on many commercial radio stations. It's very unique to the New York airwaves.
WKRB broadcasts 24/7, much of it student-operated. But it's unique not just in its programming, but also in how it's used as a teaching tool. The station doubles as a classroom to provide students the full experience of operating a broadcast station.
We do a lot of different things at Kingsborough Radio Station. We actually, some of us have on-air shifts, some of us have our own shows, radio shows. And we also operate the boards for different Cyclones games during the week and during weekends.
Its most unique programming? Instead of just focusing on campus sports, like most college stations, WKRB is the broadcasting partner for the New York Mets minor league baseball team, the Brooklyn Cyclones.
We've been broadcasting the Cyclones games since the team was created in 2001, and it's become a really big part of what we do. It keeps us very relevant in the community, and it gives students a great opportunity to work with a professional sports organization in a broadcast setting that they probably wouldn't be able to do anywhere else.
So do you sit there for the entire 3 hours of a ball game?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Some people have actually been here for, what was it, 19 innings, right? Something crazy.
That was actually the first game of this season.
Opening day for
opening day of the
crazy.
season.
Here's the 1-0 from Giannis. Swing and a ball cracked down the right field side, and that'll land fair just inside the right field line.
On the other end, at MCU Park in Coney Island, is the voice of the Cyclones, Stu Johnson. On game days, Johnson will call into the students at the station so they can patch in his broadcast feed onto the WKRB airwaves.
And he bunts for a base hit to try to bring in the run. To Barry Barehands, throws towards first, too late. Those students over there have a lot of their own shows over there too, so they're learning how to do both the production side and then the on-air broadcast component too. I've done it a few times in my career, but I've had a lot more experience up here, so I'd be lost without them.
Do the kids from the radio station ever come here with you?
Yeah, we've had a number of the kids from Kingsborough visit, sit in the booth. They've sat in on some of the interviews we've done down on the field, and I've been lucky enough to call into some of their radio shows and talk a little baseball and some sports with them, and that's been really rewarding for me.
We're actually allowed to go to the games for free since, we're board operators for them. And if we want, we could be there for the batting practice. We could actually sit. I haven't done it yet. I plan on doing it soon before the season is over, but we could actually sit beside Stu Johnson and, he'll show us how he runs the games and whatnot.
Being that we're located in New York, we're in the #1 market in the United States. The industry is highly competitive. The stations that are operating commercially are high-budget stations, so this is the kind of equipment that students are going to encounter on internships and hopefully jobs after they graduate. So we want them to learn everything they can here that would allow them to take on responsibilities at commercial stations with minimal training.
From the ballpark with the Brooklyn Cyclones and broadcast all over the city. For Study of the Best, I'm Ari Goldberg.
STEM can be a real challenge for educators across the country. And I was lucky enough to meet one CUNY grad who's tackling this challenge head on.
I'm in motion, changing location, till it hits traction, the coefficient of friction. I'm off Newton, I'm on an Einstein. I like Einstein because Einstein's mind is like mine. All right? Music and art are the seedbed to creativity, and engaging in science on the highest of levels require your creativity to be activated.
Columbia University professor Dr. Christopher Emdin has been using hip-hop to teach science to his New York City students for over 5 years.
I use hip-hop because kids love hip-hop. I also use other things the kids love. I've used video games. I used to teach physics in the 9th grade in the Bronx. We would do video game physics. I mean, the idea is for the teachers to be creative enough to look at any phenomena that means something to young people and then highlight what is inherently scientific in that phenomena so young folks start realizing that science can actually be cool and connected to something that they love.
Dr. Emden teaches several types of science to every student he can, from grade school through graduate school.
Tomorrow you might call me, I might be in a school in the Bronx co-teaching a 9th grade or 10th grade class. Tonight I'll be teaching some graduate students here at Columbia at Teachers College. I might just, pop up somewhere and engage with a 3rd or 4th grader.
How would you explain your teaching style?
I teach as an MC. I teach because I've mastered my content. I'm the master of ceremony and I have the intention to move the crowd. And so when I walk into the classroom, with an MC sensibility, then I have to make sure that the kids connect. Exactly what you just said, write that down.
What did I say?
I'm not saying that rap is the key to science. I'm saying that in rap are skill sets necessary for having kids engage in science.
It really is helping. I'm starting to, get back on track with my science. I actually sit home looking up different science terms before we actually learn them. And then I actually read the definitions and all that. And then I put them into my raps and everything.
Last name synthesis, first name photo. I stay energized like motion and loco. Energy in the perfect thing that stimulates. I'm vegetarian, the thing that I emulate.
Emden's teaching style was honed early on when he earned his undergraduate degree at Lehman and went on to receive his PhD at the Graduate Center. What role has CUNY played in your career?
My CUNY education has been everything to me. I went to Lehman College in the Bronx. It was there that I discovered my passion for science. It was a local college, that it was in the Bronx, and it was a commuter college, allowed me to be able to still be on the street corners rapping and then go to class, which allowed me to realize that I could be a hip hop scientist. I learned that just because of how the school was structured and where it was embedded, that it was still in my community. I didn't have to go away. And so as I discovered my academic self, I still had to go back to the hood every day. And so I realized that I could be hood and academic at the same time. I couldn't have gotten that anywhere else. I got that at CUNY, I got that at Lehman. When I went for my doctoral studies, I decided to go back to CUNY for the same reason.
Emden's CUNY born and bred hood and academic ways enabled him to not only be a New York Times best-selling author with his book, For White Folks Who Teach in the Hood and the Rest of Y'all Too, it also became the inspiration for his co-collaboration on Science Genius, a science rap battle that isn't about who's the best rapper, but the best scientist.
The more people I know, kinetic energy grows. So I'ma go to work, convert all of my potential, and as my speed increases, then I'ma go exponential.
Engaging in using music and art and culture, especially if it's the culture of young people, is in itself a way to be able to hone in on science skills. You're more reflective, you're more sort of theoretical in your approach to thinking about things. You have to be able to draw connections between things that are seemingly disconnected.
And it's that perceived disconnect that makes hip-hop and science education more effective for both teachers and students. What kind of classrooms are successful teaching STEM?
Any class that does not dumb down the expectations of academic rigor while it increases the academic interest or the sort of natural interest and inclination wins. There has to be this delicate, beautiful balance. That's what my work is all about, and my work in science education, to help teachers to be able to get to that point that feels like magic, where the kids are super engaged, the content is functioning on a high level, there's good dialogue going on, and everybody leaves the class sort of more excited and more learned and more informed. That's what a magical classroom looks like, and that's what all science classes should look like.
The brain cohabitates with the mind to perform perceptions of its own kind.
So listen, we gotta transform, making different landforms. How does the landform, get it?
That's dope. Props.
CUNY fashion studies scholar Elizabeth Wissinger is looking at everything from selfies to glamour labor.
We live in a time now where people are producing their image at every moment. Regular people are selfieing themselves. Fashion models model a kind of being in the world, a kind of working, that they may look glamorous to the rest of us. And being fashionable, treating the street as a runway, became a much more widespread phenomenon for the general public. In 2015, I published the book, This Year's Model. I do a social history of modeling. So I look at modeling from its inception in the 1800s in Europe and track its development and all of the different ways that modeling is performed, from the runways, the catwalks, to this photo studio, to the street lifestyle photography that we see today. In the process of writing the book, I decided to go back into the archives and really try to understand changes in modeling work from a much earlier time. Looking at what it is models were asked to do over time, it really struck me how much the work changed once first television came on the scene and then the internet and social media. There was a move toward having to manage the self in more ways, in more places, at more times. There was a youthquake in the 1960s. The ideal of beauty in the transition to television became much more youthful. And Twiggy was the epitome of this youthfulness. And she was also all about throwing out the waist cinchers and the artifice of modeling at that time. And in that process, television, Twiggy, the youthquake, changes in the culture more generally, fashion became something that became more everyday. Regular people who never would have thought about trying to look fashionable, they just wanted to look nice, were doing their hair in Twiggy hairstyles. They were dieting to look like Twiggy because she was very slender. People don't usually think of Twiggy as somebody who epitomized, say, an Instaglammer now. She was one of the first accessible models, and she was part of the story of fashion becoming more accessible and more everyday for more people. In the course of talking to models about what it is they actually do, it became very clear that the kind of work that they do is very attuned to the kinds of technologies used to produce the images that is their product. The work of modeling became more all-encompassing. That's how I came up with this notion of glamour labor, to describe what it is models do and also the lifestyle that models sell to the rest of us. Glamour labor is this notion of doing a kind of work that doesn't produce a product that's physical, but also the ways in which work have started to bleed into regular life. One of the things that's interesting about glamour labor spreading to the regular population is that the internet and social media, in a way, put those imaging tools into regular people's hands. We had a rise of bloggers and street style blogs also that democratized fashion on some level, where regular people were out there putting on fashionable clothes. They didn't have model bodies, but they were projecting a fashionable image and they were getting recognition for that. And it was a really beautiful moment where it seemed like anything goes, fat, thin, white, black, tall, short, whatever. If you had style and you had a good camera, you could have a street style blog. A young model invited, like she was 16 or 17, invited me to her model apartment, which consisted of a 2-bedroom apartment, which had been converted to accommodate, I think, 6 or 8 young ladies with 1 bathroom with these beautiful girls. So that was an interesting, these women who do a lot of grooming, and the 1 bathroom, they all mentioned that was an issue. And I sat with them, and that was very fascinating to hear how they were talking about the differences between their sense of their own look and the kinds of looks that they were asked to put on to get jobs. The incredible pressure on whether or not to get a haircut, who goes to the gym, who doesn't, how much time people spend. Are people going out? That was another, because they considered going out part of their job. They also talked about things like when they had let their guard down. One model had said she had bangs and she pinned them back, and she went to the agency and her agent came running across the room screaming at her, "Bangs, bangs!" And she was really shocked because she just popped by to get a paycheck or something. But that really brought home to her how intense the demand was for her to be the model thing, the model image, the professional, desirable image at all times. The Instagram get rich quick by taking photos in your living room is a really fascinating myth, which is very confusing because some people do get rich doing Instagram work. But for the one, it's just like fashion models. For every supermodel, there were hundreds of thousands of models working for free or for, oh, you gave me a dress because I walked in your show. Now there are tons and tons of Instagrammers who are putting their images out there, running their sites, running their feeds, and only a very few are getting the kinds of endorsements that can make a viable living. It's all on the shoulders of the person who's making the Instagram feed, herself or himself. Right. So there's a real pushing of responsibility for your own success onto the individual.
Nisan Ak is a rising female conductor from Turkey, and she recently shared with us her conducting stories at Queens College.
Conducting, it's a multidisciplinary thing. You don't only do music when you're conducting. It's both acting, dance, psychology, management, problem solving. It's sort of a company that you have to run, where you have to be able to hear the problems in a second and fix the problems in a second so that you can create a successful concert. When I was like 8, 9, I started guitar, and at 14, I got accepted to music school. I started attending conducting department as a guest student. At 2013, I came here for a summer workshop with Maestro Perez. He asked me if I want to study masters here, and I said yes. So I came here a year later when I finished my undergrad. You start with an instrument when you're learning music. For example, if you're playing horn, you might know something about the brass instruments, like trumpet and trombone and tuba and such. But you won't know that much about violins. You don't even sometimes hear them, like what do they do and such. But when you're a conductor, you start learning about the score, about the other instruments that you don't play a lot. Whatever in music, in scores, in notes, you have to show it. You have to make it visible. The musicians in the orchestra will make it audible. The audience will hear it. But I have to make it visible for the orchestra. Like forte means loud, but like loud is very relative. Is it how loud? With what kind of expression? Is it like strict, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it like more tied together, like 1, 2, 3, 4? You decide all of this, and then your behaviors, your movements, your facial expressions will show what kind of loud is that, so that they will all have one idea, and then they will give that idea to their instruments. Well, on top of all those musical skills, and clarity, and a very good ear, they have to have amazing problem-solving skills. Not only in music, but also in other aspects, like communication. When I was starting conducting, I never thought that this is a very psychological job, that you have to convince people, you have to be able to make them try to do more. You're not the board, but you're not the player as well. You're in between them. You have to control both of them. One of the best decisions I made was to come to Queens College. It's a great opportunity to study here. There are so many good musicians. You want to do an extracurricular concert? They're gonna help you. Do you want to do like some reading sessions with your colleagues? Your colleagues will say yes. They're just good. They're nice people. We do one full concerts with all the rehearsals. So we learn our technique to rehearse. We learn our technique to conduct. And then we get to choose our own repertoire to conduct. So this is a real experience. One. No, 2 before. 1. It's a male-dominated job. There are very few women conductors all around the world. I'm one of the few women conductors in Turkish history. Eventually, I want to become a music director, of course. A professional orchestra, preferably in a city. I want to conduct like one modern music each concert, as well as the classical repertoire. Wow, that sounds amazing. Can we just have that?
That's our show for today. For more information on any of our stories, log on to our website at CUNY.TV or check out our Study with the Best Facebook page. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.